Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Ancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. I'm grateful to be here at the lotus feet of the Kalchanji, and thank you all for coming. Today I'll be talking based on the Ramayana. The Ram festival is coming next month soon, and I'll speak on the topic broadly of how to transform adversity into opportunity. I have been doing a series on the adventures of Hanuman, and today I did 4 sessions. Today last session, but each session is a distinct session. I'll be using this as a whiteboard. So I'll be discussing broadly 5 points. Our overall theme is adversity to opportunity, but within that, first I'll talk about a 4-level approach to the epics, to the sacred texts like the Ramayana, the Mahabharata, the Bhagavatam, and then we will discuss those 4 levels, what they are and how they relate to us. Now when we hear say stories from the Ramayana, Mahabharata, these are considered sacred stories. And some people may hear those stories and they may say that, okay, these seem to be like entertaining tales. But why are they so significant? So it's like these narratives, they can be understood at multiple layers. You can peel layers and you can go deeper and deeper. The 4 levels we'll talk about can be summarized using an acronym, LEAD. So we can lead us in a way to deeper and deeper understanding. So this is broadly based on Bhaktivinoda Thakur's book. He points to this in his Chaitanya Shikshamrit and also in his Krishna Samhita. So he doesn't mention these specific levels, but the idea of multiple levels of approaching scripture is universal. In the Bhagavatam, for example, it is said that Krishna's pastimes can be heard by those who are free from worldly desires, those who are filled with worldly desires. They're attractive to everyone. So like that, the first level is the literal level. So we'll talk about level and then the view that comes at that level and the result of that. That's how we'll look at each of these. And we'll apply these 4 levels to one particular incident from the Ramayana. So at the literal level, we see this is a story. We take it at more or less face value. Now, okay, this happened after this happened after this. And this at this level, when we take the story as it is, or as is, not as, okay, this is a story, this is what one event, another event. Often at this level, the primary thing is entertainment. So, for example, there may be dramas, there may be movies, there might be TV series, there might be poems. People hear these stories and they are gripping stories in their own way. How Lord Ram, against all odds, fights against Ravana and wins eventually. The stories have great narrative value in themselves. And sometimes when the word literal is used, it may be devalued. But just hearing the stories is also purifying. So all these 4 levels, at one level, there is purification. Because there is engagement with the story centered on the Lord. This is the first level, is the literal level. The Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, this is the level at which the Kanishthas are those who are first level, are introductory devotees. They approach stories at this level. So I will give an example of each of these afterwards as we move forward. But let's understand the levels first. The second level is the ethical level. At the ethical level, we look at the stories to try to see what actions who did. So we try to look at the moral reasoning of the characters. Okay. So why did Dasharath send Ram away? Why did Ram not fight to stay there for it? What was the right thing to do? How did Kaikeyi get influenced? So basically, we try to understand the motivations of the characters. And then by that, we try to understand what was the right choice, what was the wrong choice. By this, we get guidance in our life. At this level. At the first level, you're not really interested in any life lessons. We just want to enjoy the story. But here we look at ethical level guidance to understand. And this is the level at which often within the tradition also the stories have been seen. So certain virtues like selflessness, service attitude, honoring one's word, there are ethical values that are important. And the literature like the Ramayana, Mahabharata, the Bhagavatam, the values that people learn from them are what have shaped their minds and lives. So then the next level is the allegorical level. Now it's important to understand that the stories themselves are not allegories. The stories are records of incidents that happened long ago. But the stories also represent certain things. So allegory means we are looking at, okay, what does this particular thing symbolize? So for example, Ravan symbolizes lust, especially lust that rejects all boundaries, lust that goes completely out of control. So at this level, the question is not just who is Ravan, but what is Ravan? What does he represent? Now, Prabhupada talks about this sometimes. Say for example, when he says, Devaki, she had 6 children whom she lost or who were killed before Balram and Krishna were born. And those 6 children represent the 6 misgivings in the heart: lust, anger, greed, envy, pride, and illusion. Now it's important that sometimes when the allegorical is spoken, they say that, okay, the literal is not true at all. It's only symbolic. That's not the point. So at the allegorical level, we look for universal themes. And universal themes, okay, how does it relate to at a universal level? And by this, there is more of intellectual appreciation, intellectual depth. Okay, this represents that. And now these two are the level Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the Madhyamas approach. So the middle level, they can get the most guidance for their own lives by approaching scripture at the ethical and the allegorical level. Now, Bhaktivinoda Thakur makes a very interesting point. He says that those people who can look for symbolic meanings, they often think that they are much more intelligent than those who are looking at the literal level. And they often feel that, oh, the literalists, what do they know? But he says that Yes, you may be advanced in your analytical capacity, but there is one more level beyond it. And that level is the devotional level, where everything is seen simply as the Leela of the Lord. So, Leela means it is a divine arrangement, it is a divine plan. So, what this means is that here we see everything as a play. Leela means a play or a pastime. And everything is arranged for the purpose of reciprocating love between the Lord and the devotees. So, for example, Prabhupada sometimes takes things at an ethical level in the Bhagavad Gita. He says, Arjuna, because of his attachment, was hesitating to fight and he had tears. So, that is Prabhupada taking an ethical level. He should be aware that actually our real identity goes beyond our physicality. He doesn't know that. Prabhupada is taking an ethical level. But then Prabhupada also says that actually Arjuna's illusion was arranged by Krishna, so that the Bhagavad Gita could be spoken. So that is at a devotional level, everything is seen as the arrangement of the Lord. And at this level, the result is attraction. Attraction to the Lord, love for the Lord. That is what is the result at this level. And this is the level at which the Uttama approach. So those who are at the highest level, they simply delight in hearing about the Lord, in remembering the Lord, in just absorbing themselves in the various pastimes of the Lord. Now, to the uninformed mind, it may appear that the Uttama level are also at the Kanishta level. The devotional and literal readings might look very similar. Because those who are very absorbed in devotion, they may not like to do much analysis. Just want to remember and love the Lord. But there are two significant differences between those our literal level and at the devotional level. Those at the devotional level are capable of ethical and allegorical analysis. They are just not interested in them. That's not their priority. And secondly, the difference is that those at the literal level, they see these simply as sources of entertainment. And because it's the primary concern is entertainment, today they may hear the Ramayana, tomorrow they may watch a movie. Day after tomorrow they might read a novel. So for them, entertainment is important. Krishna or the Lord is not important. At the transcendental level, at the devotional level, they are interested only in Krishna. So, they're capable of ethical analysis, and they are attracted only to Krishna because they understand He is the ultimate reality. They're not just seeing Krishna as a source of entertainment, although they may very much enjoy and delight in the pastimes. But for them, Krishna is the supreme reality, and all other realities pale in comparison. So what he basically is saying is, if you can do ethical analysis, allegorical analysis, that's good. But don't think you are the highest. There is a level beyond that also, where we simply relish the pastimes. The important thing is, at any level, yena kena prakarena manah Krishna niveshet. At any level, approaching the Lord and His pastimes is beneficial. But when it becomes problematic is, if somebody starts thinking one level is the only level. Those who like the allegorical level, for example, and say that's the only level, then it becomes problematic. But if that's the level they want to approach, that's okay. So with this background, now let's try to see how this analysis can be applied to the Ramayana by focusing on a particular incident. So I'll focus on the incident of Hanuman burning Lanka. And now, so Hanuman, I'll go into the background briefly and then focus on the main incident. So Hanuman enters into Lanka and he searches exhaustively, can't find Sita anywhere, becomes utterly discouraged. And then he's just become so despondent. At night, darkness seems to reflect the darkness within his heart. He's come so far. He has done the incredible feat of leaping across the ocean. And yet, now, he searched all the palaces. He just can't find Sita. Where is she? Is she dead? How can I tell that to Ram? And as he's thinking, if I can't find Sita, I go and tell Ram that Sita is no longer there, Ram will die. If Ram dies, then Sugriv will not be able to live. Sugriv will die. If Sugriv dies, the entire Vanara kingdom will perish. If Ram dies, Bharat will come to know about it. Bharat will perish. The entire Ayodhya kingdom will perish. And all this destruction of both the kingdoms will be because of my failure. I would rather die trying to find Sita than be the cause of such destruction. Again, he says, whatever happens, I'm going to keep trying. So, just by contemplating the consequences of giving up, his determination goes up. Sometimes when we say the failure is not an option, that doesn't mean we won't fail, but that just means that I'm going to keep trying. And as soon as his spirits rise, it seems as if the heavens also rise in their spirit. The clouds part, and the last rays of the setting moon, they pierce through. As Hanuman is looking around, he suddenly notices, hey, there's a garden there. I have searched all the palaces, but I didn't search that garden. And immediately he goes over there. And when he goes there, that's where he spots Sita. Ravan is going that way, so he waits and watches. Sees there's some interaction between Ravan and Sita. And then Ravan departs in a huff, threatening Sita. Then Hanuman approaches Sita. He starts singing the glories of Ram. And that triggers Sita's interest. She's initially a little suspicious. Who is this? Is this some impersonator? But then Hanuman jumps down and gives the signet which Ram has given her. And she becomes overjoyed seeing that. But her joy comes not in the form of smiles. It comes in the form of tears. She's very happy. At the same time, she's very happy that Ram remembers her. Ram has sent something as a memento to her. But that she's so far away from Ram, that just fills her with agony. And then they talk. And then Sita says, please, you tell Ram to come back, come quickly. Ravan has given me 1 month. If he doesn't, I don't submit to him within 1 month. He said, I'm going to enjoy you one way or the other. If you don't give yourself to me, I'll have my cooks cook you and you'll be my breakfast. He was after all a cannibal. So Hanuman becomes alarmed. He says, if that is the case, you can, I'll just take you right away with me. Now, sometimes when some people take on a particular form, sometimes people disguise themselves. So when they disguise themselves, normally they can maintain the disguise. But when there is a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of emotion, you forget the disguise. One of my friends was in the army. He was actually in the Indian espionage service. So he was trained to become a spy. So he had to go to Pakistan as a spy. So he was told that he had to learn Urdu. And he said, if you're sleeping and somebody kicks you in your sleep, when you wake up, you should curse in Urdu, not in Hindi. So then you are trained enough to become a spy. So, but the idea was that, so Hanuman, he was disguised. But when he heard Sita is in danger, he was disguised means he had come in a very small, inconspicuous form. So Hanuman said, if there's such a danger for you, I'll take you right away. No, I'll carry you on my back. And Sita couldn't restrain her smile. He said, you are so tiny. How can you carry me? Now, Hanuman was a warrior. He didn't like his strength being challenged. And then right in front of Sita, Hanuman started expanding his form. Sita was looking down at him, and within a few minutes, she was looking up at him. And then Hanuman said, is this form large enough for carrying you? So then Sita said, yes, but you'll have to fight with the demons. And if I am carrying you, then fighting with them will be difficult. And Hanuman was not convinced. He said, I can fight. No, I can do it. And Sita said, that, okay, but I don't want to be touched by any other man. Ravan touched me forcibly. Let Ram come and rescue me. So Hanuman decided, yes. He respected her wishes, and then he was about to leave. But now he had already done a significant service. But he felt that he should do something more. So that thought that in 1 month Ravan might kill Sita, that was very much there in his mind. So he decided that he would like to send a warning to Ravan, a deterrence. That normally if two people are fighting, if one person thinks I am way too powerful and the other person is weak, that person may exploit and abuse. But the other person knows, that the second person knows that this person is also strong, this person hit back at me, then they will not abuse their power too much. So he said, I want to have deterrence. So he decided to challenge Ravan. So it was a well thought out thing. He started breaking down the trees over there. And then Ravan sent regiment after regiment, and all of them were destroyed. And he sent his son Akshay, he was also killed. Ravan was enraged. Who is this upstart monkey? He's come in my garden. His garden was called Ashok Vatika. That became a Shok Vatika for her. It became an object of distress for him. What is happening? Finally sent Indrajit. Indrajit used the Brahmastra and he had Hanuman arrested. Now, whenever actions are done, there are always multiple signals being sent. Now, in Ravan's Lanka, his control was ironclad. And that somebody would come and destroy his favorite gardens was something that could not be tolerated. So Indrajit decided that I will parade Hanuman through the streets of Lanka. And all the soldiers with him, they would kick at him, laugh at him, punch at him, even spit on him. And in this way, all the citizens of Lanka will see what happens to anyone who dares to challenge Ravan's authority. So he did that. Now Hanuman was being humiliated. But Hanuman had his own purpose. His purpose was that while he was being taken to the streets of Lanka, he was a warrior. He was observing the military formations in the Lanka, which road leads where the weapons are. And later on, during the war, they have an ambush attack. And they devastate Lanka because they're led by Hanuman. So Hanuman is focused on his purpose. And so that he's being beaten and humiliated doesn't matter to him. He's focused on how can I serve Ram. So for him, it's a reconnaissance mission for him. He's going through it. And finally he's brought into the court. And Ravan, so angry, he says, this person should be killed right away. That's what the ministers, they all say, how audacious he has been. Ravan says, I want to know who he is. Who has sent him? Why is he doing this? So they ask him. Hanuman says that, I'm the messenger of Ram. You give me a seat first. He says, you are not a messenger. You are simply a criminal. Hanuman says, then I'll get a seat for myself. And then he just expands his tail. And again the same thing happens. The same dynamic. Ravan is looking down at him. Suddenly he starts looking up at him. It makes his tail seat so big. And then Hanuman gives the message. He says, I am the servant of Sugriv, who is the servant of Ram. And if you don't return Sita immediately, Ram will come with hundreds and thousands of monkeys and they will destroy Lanka. If you care for your life, if you care for your citizens, if you care for your kingdom, return Sita honorably to Ram. Ravan was not used to being lectured. And certainly not being instructed in his own palace. He says, this devilish monkey, kill him. So Vibhishan said, wait. He's a messenger. He cannot be killed. That's the code. But he has not acted like a messenger. He has destroyed property, destroyed my garden. He deserves to be punished. So Hanuman is playing a lot. Hanuman said, oh, actually, I'm just a monkey. Now, after coming all the way to Lanka, I got hungry. So in searching for food, I jumped on some trees and those trees fell down. And when those trees fell down, some people attacked me and I just tried to defend myself. So Ravan decided that I have to punish him. And the thought that this fellow is sitting on a seat higher than me, that was burning in Ravan's heart. So he decided, let us burn his tail. Now, what was the idea of burning his tail? He said, monkeys are very proud of their tails. So if you burn it, then he won't be killed, but he will be scarred for life. He will be humiliated. And Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita says, for those who have been honored, dishonor is worse than death. Sambhavitascha kirtir maranaditrichyate. So, it might seem like a small prank, but it was a plan to humiliate Hanuman. And then he said, he will go back alive and all his associates will see what happens to someone who tries to challenge Ravan's authority. So everybody is trying to send messages to everyone else over here. Now, Hanuman, when he hears this, he's ready to tolerate the pain. He's been tied by the Brahmastra. Hanuman has a blessing that the Brahmastra will affect him, but only for a finite time. And he's already tested his movements. The Brahmastra is no longer binding him. So what happens is, in all the period when he's being paraded through the streets, in the time is going in all that time. And that's the Brahmastra. He's actually free, letting himself be bound. Now he's ready to tolerate the pain. He's just waiting. He's a tam sitiksha bharata. But suddenly, if there's no pain at all. And he looks back and he sees that in order to burn his tail, they had got lots of cotton, lots of inflammable cloth, they had got ghee, they had got fire. And all that cloth around his tail was on fire. So his tail was literally on fire, but he was not feeling any pain at all. So he realized, now different commentators explain it differently, but generally the understanding is, when this was happening, there were messengers going to and forth. So Sita was being told, Hanuman has been caught, Hanuman is being paraded through the streets, Hanuman's tail is going to be burnt. So she prayed to Agnidev, please let Hanuman not be hurt. Now, here Sita also, interesting what she prayed. She didn't say that, let fire not be lit, because that would have been too suspicious, what's going on over here. See, even Agnidev, although he's powerful, Agnidev also didn't want to cross Ravan. Ravan was very powerful. So the god of fire, he said, don't let the fire may burn, but let its heat not hurt Hanuman. So Hanuman looked at it, and hey, it's not getting hurt. And on one side there was relief. But the nature of a devotee is always eager to serve the Lord. So then he realizes this burning but not hurting fire is like a ready-made weapon that Hanuman has given him. It's almost like Ravan ends up giving his enemy a machine gun with unlimited bullets in it. So Hanuman, in just one movement, Jai Shri Ram, he calls out and just leaps free of everyone. The demons are shocked. How did he break free? But not only does he break free, he just jumps off and jumps to a nearby building. He's been observing the various buildings. He's been observing which parts of the building are inflammable also. So he's a warrior. Has this, all this, just jumps to one building that catches fire with his tail, then he jumps to another building. And for Ravan, at one level, that a prisoner breaks free, that itself is humiliating. But after that, the prisoner breaks free and starts devastating your own city. Generally speaking, if a prisoner breaks free, the prisoner will want to run away. But here the prisoner is broken free, and prisoner is just with fearlessness and impunity running around the city, burning the city. Ravan says, catch him, catch him. And the demons try to catch him, and the city is on fire. And the demons don't know, should we douse the fire or should we try to catch him? What should we do? And Hanuman is just jumping with lightning speed. And then he sets the whole, nearly half of Lanka on fire. And then finally, he goes on the Lanka's border and he stands there. His majestic form, the tail rising behind him. The night sky is there, it's completely dark. Behind him, in the canvas of the sky, there are a few clouds, there are a few stars and the moon. But Hanuman is like a blazing apparition. His tail, which is lit behind him, his tail is high aloft. The tail is creating like an aura around his entire face and his entire body. And he looks, for those who are devoted, he looks like a wonderful sight. For those who are not, he looks like a dreadful sight. And there Hanuman roars. He says, "Oh Ravan, listen. I am the smallest of the monkeys who are serving Sugriv and Ram. If you do not return Sita, then thousands and millions of monkeys like these will come and will destroy your entire city. If you care for your own life, if you care for your citizens, if you care for your kingdom, return Sita immediately." And saying this, Hanuman leaps off. And as he leaps, the entire wall that was considered impregnable just collapses. And it's like, sometimes there is an exit, there's a dramatic exit, there is a clever exit. This is a fearsome exit. It's a heroically dramatic and fearsome exit. If Hanuman had wanted to send a message, he couldn't have sent it in a better way. So at a literal level itself, the story is dramatic and it's adventurous. But there is much, much more to the story. So at the ethical level, did Hanuman just become angry and decided to burn Lanka? Well, it's not that simple. Now he is introspective enough. When he starts burning Lanka, he starts thinking, oh, have I burned the Ashok Vatika? Is Sita safe? So he is careful, he is contemplative. But the point is that it was a calculated action. It was not just a anger-fueled arson. So what was going on over here? At an ethical level, we can look at it from Hanuman's perspective, what he did. We can look at it also from Ravan's perspective. See, what happens for everyone, the principle of karma is action leads to result. That is a universal principle. But depending on the karma of a person, sometimes the action may be here and the result may come after a long time. It's just like somebody has money. If the person is squandering money on trivials, if that person has very little money, within a day they will run out of money. But that person is, say, inherited $1 billion from their parents. Then their money may last for years, but it is going to end. But they will feel the pinch of having no money, maybe after a few years. But they will. So like that, if somebody has some good karma from the past, then they may not feel the consequences of their actions coming immediately. But the consequences will come. So this distance this particular distance, this buffer is created by past karma. Past positive karma, past negative karma, whatever it is. Sometimes the person may not get the consequence of their actions. So this could also mean that sometimes we may be doing good and we may not be getting the results of those good. Because there's some past negative karma to be worked out. But when the consequences of our actions start coming, they don't just come generally at the bolt out of the blue. No, there are some signals. Like when a person is doing something wrong repeatedly, It's not that one day a person, somebody starts drinking alcohol. It's not that one day suddenly the person becomes an addict and that person becomes helpless. No, they get signals along the way. No, I went to take a one drink and I just spent all the money I had. Or another time, I was, I was driving under influence, was not caught, but no, I almost hit someone. When a person is doing wrong, they may not get the results sometimes, but they get indications that things are going wrong. If they take the warning signals, they can be saved. But most of the times people think nothing is going to happen to me. So, at this level, a person who is intelligent, they're perversely intelligent. Once a traffic cop caught a person who was going way above the speed limit. And he asked the person, didn't you see the speed limit? He said, I saw the speed limit, I just didn't see you. Certainly that shouldn't be said. But the point is, many people think that intelligence means not to not do the wrong thing, but to do the wrong thing in such a way that we don't get the consequences. But the consequences are inbuilt in the actions, they will come. So Ravan got this warning that his own impregnable kingdom was burnt. But he did not pay attention. And what happened thereafter was one by one, his generals were killed, his sons were killed, and then eventually he himself was killed. So, at a ethical level, it's symbolic, like warnings before destruction. There are small warnings that things are going wrong. We don't pay attention, then our self-destructive actions eventually come to hit us severely. Now at an allegorical level, at a symbolic level. The ethical and the allegorical are not always separate. They can be separated, but they are quite similar. But in ethical, the focus is on the actions and choices. In the allegorical level, the focus is on the symbolisms. So Lanka is actually Lanka burning. When it was Ravan was prosperous. He was powerful. But yet, when Hanuman set Lanka on fire, Ravan just couldn't do anything. It was just burning and burning and burning and destroying. So here, for somebody, that kind of destruction, that kind of pain, it was not just that his city was burned, but this what it represents. The defeat, the Hanuman's purpose was to humiliate Ravan. It was to warn Ravan. But it was humiliating for him. That I am defeated in my own city by one single warrior. That was unbearable for him. So Ravan, what he considered, everybody thinks that they are invincible till they are no longer invincible. And the more power a person has, the more they think that nothing can get to me. But Ravan, generally what happens is when we have ego. Now, ego, what does the ego do? Ego edges God out. Ishvaro aham aham bhogi. I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. So basically, if I am the controller means I can do everything, nobody can hurt me. So for Ravan, he was the king, but he thought, I am God. I have defeated even Indra. Nobody can hurt me. But his ego was exposed over here. So at one level, if Hanuman had listened, if Ravan had listened to Hanuman, he could have been saved. So when a person has too much ego, they don't listen to those who are giving them good advice. Because they think that essentially, they think that they are God. They may not say that explicitly. But when a person refuses to listen to good advice, then that person's heart, head and life will be set on fire. That's just the way things work in life. It may take time, but the destruction will come. And the final level is the devotional level. Now, this particular story is remarkable in demonstrating the power of devotion. Hanuman is often depicted. He has his folded hands, but he also has a mace with him. Mm. So now that mace is always there with him in his iconography and his deities. But when Hanuman leapt to Lanka, he traveled without any check-in baggage. Leave alone check-in baggage, he traveled without any carry-on baggage also. So it was a huge leap. So he actually did not carry any mace with him. So when he fought, when the demons started attacking him, there was a gate to the garden. He just broke that gate and took an iron slab, and he was fighting with that. But the point is that Hanuman's folded hands, they represent his bhakti. And his mace, which is there in the iconography, that remains in his Shakti. So Hanuman shows that devotion is not just praying before God. Yes, it is we are prayerful. But along with being prayerful, a devotee is also powerful. Powerful in the sense that for the service of the Lord, whatever is required, a devotee is ready to do that. And the Lord empowers the devotee. So in many ways, what Hanuman achieved was actually greater than what Lord Ram achieved. As Prabhupada would say, Hanuman flew across Lanka. Ram built a bridge to go to Lanka. It is by the Lord's grace that the devotee does something greater than what the Lord does. So, at the devotional level, we see it all as the Leela of the Lord, as arrangement of the Lord, by which the devotee can be empowered in extraordinary ways to do things which are beyond human calculation, maybe even beyond human imagination. But yet, there is one important point, that if, in the devotional level, love means divine love, the love for the Lord, love is the ultimate reality. Everything that happens in this world, oh yes, people do bad things to us, sometimes we make some mistakes, adversities befall us, all that happens. Through it all, the Lord is acting. And the Lord is drawing us closer towards Him. So Hanuman maintained, as I was talking about how to transform adversity into opportunity, that was the topic. So Hanuman was being burnt, but because he maintained his service attitude, what happened was that he was able to find a way to convert that particular burning tail into a weapon that worked for him. At the same time, the Lord's plan works in different ways. Hanuman was empowered to do stupendous things, but the same Ramayana also depicts the story of Jatayu. Jatayu fought heroically, and he unfortunately perished. So did the Lord not bless him? Did the Lord not empower him? No, that's not the point. See, the Lord blesses everyone. For Hanuman, at the end of his tour, when he came back and he told all that he had done, Ram was so pleased. Ram embraced him. Jatayu fought and perished, but Lord Ram was there for Jatayu also. He departed from the world in Lord Ram's lap. Lord Ram performed his last rites. So, if somebody is devoted to serving the Lord will always reward them. The Lord will never forget the service. But the path through which a person will go, that will vary. Now, we are all parts of the Lord, and the Lord has a part for each one of us. So, He has a part in His plan. But we don't determine the part. It is the Lord determines the part for us. And we just have to play the part the best way we can. So, the part that the Lord had for Jatayu was to be a martyr. The part that the Lord had for Hanuman was to be a victor. But both of them were equally glorious in different ways. So, when we say love is the ultimate reality, Both of them had parts in the Lord's plan. So Jatayu's part was to be a martyr. Hanuman's part was to be a victor. So different people will have different parts. But if we play our part well, the Lord will reward us. Not everybody in this world who is serving the Lord will be a victor. When the Ganga was to be brought to the earth, so many kings performed austerities. Many kings performed lifelong austerities and they perished. But there's one king who succeeded in getting the Ganga around to the earth. Who was that? Bhagirath. Bhagirathi, Ganga is called as. So he's great, he's heroic. But it doesn't mean he alone is heroic. Actually, it is like what service to the Lord, service is like a relay race. In a relay race, what happens is, different characters they carry the torch. One character's role may be from here to here. Other characters may be from here to here. Other characters may be from here to here. And then one character crosses the finishing line. So the one who crosses the finishing line may be the one who gets the glory in the world's eyes. But all characters get the glory in the Lord's eyes. Everybody gets glory in the Lord's eyes. Now, why the Lord chooses somebody to get glory, why the Lord does not choose somebody to get the glory in the world's eyes? That varies. So Prabhupada was once asked, that varies. That is the Lord's inconceivable will. Glory. When Prabhupada was once told, Prabhupada, Bhaktivinoda Thakur preached in Bengal. Bhaktivedanta Thakur preached in India. You preached all over the world. Therefore, you are greater than all of them. Prabhupada became very grave. He said, never think like this. So the parents are the happiest when their children exceed them in their achievements. Whatever I have achieved is by their mercy. So, if we are earnestly serving the Lord, we may or may not be recognized in the world's eyes, but the Lord is recognizing us. And we need to be satisfied by that. There's no need to become discontented or jealous if somebody else is being recognized. And somebody else being recognized by the world's eyes, that person has to remember, just because I am being recognized does not mean I am necessarily better than everyone else. We are all serving the Lord. Hanuman was given this lesson. Later when Lord Ram said, you are building big boulders and a squirrel is getting small pieces of dirt. But both of you are equally valuable in my eyes, because both of you are doing the best. So the devotional reality is that the Lord empowered Hanuman. But it's also the reality that whether we get to play a successful part in this world or a part that is apparently unsuccessful in this world's eyes, the part that we play in the Lord's service will always be successful, because it will draw us closer to Him and ultimately unite us with Him for a life of eternal love. So I'll summarize what I discussed today. We discussed the theme of Hanuman's burning of Lanka. We discussed the 4 levels of approaching the epics. Does anyone remember the 4 levels? L was literal. Then what is the acronym? Lead. E was ethical. A was allegorical. So it's important. The story is not an allegory. It's a narrative that has happened, but there is also more to its symbolism, and that's devotional. And then we discussed this Hanuman story at the base level. At the literal level, there is amazing level of entertainment in it. So then at a ethical level, what we get is guidance. So the guidance over here is that from Hanuman's point of view, he was giving deterrence. From Ravan's point of view, it is a warning. So Hanuman gave the warning effectively, but Ravan unfortunately did not take that warning. And therefore, Ravan perished. And then discussed the allegorical level. So we discussed how that somebody who thinks, somebody who has ego, that person, ego, they edge God out. And what happens is their heart burns. Because sooner or later, what they think they have in full control, that will go out of their control. And that is unbearable for them. And then at the devotional level, the Lord's love for us is the supreme reality. Hanuman went into Lanka all alone. The odds were all against him. But he emerged spectacularly victorious because he was empowered by the Lord. But the Lord has different parts for different people. The parts were different. For Hanuman, it was to be a victor. For Jatayu, it was to be a martyr. But either way, both were spiritually successful. So for us, sometimes when we are trying to serve the Lord, we may not succeed in getting glory and success in this world. But if we are trying to serve honestly, the Lord will always be watching and rewarding. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions or comments?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, thank you so much. You reiterated this point couple of times that it's important to play the part, the role, play the part that the Lord has assigned us. Often when I introspect myself, I find that because I am hooked to some entertainment or some intellectual motivation, it is very hard to play the part always, because that how to say, the what I'm expecting in return doesn't come through that easily, or it's not visible so often. So how do I carry on in that fashion, because it may become monotonous and often without any tinge of devotion, Prabhu.
Yeah, that is true. So when you say we're meant to play our part, irrespective of whether we get success or not, that does not mean that we have to be resigned to a life of no happiness at all. There is two things over here. The action that we do at a material level, if it is according to our varana, according to our psychophysical nature, and at a spiritual level, it is in the mood of service. So then, at both these levels, when we do an action according to a varna, there is an extrinsic satisfaction that comes. And then there is an intrinsic satisfaction that comes. So at a material level also, suppose somebody likes music, or somebody likes painting, or somebody likes maths, somebody likes whatever it is, field. Now, when they do that activity, they just feel, I'm at home. This is what I meant to do. One of my services is writing. So I used to read about various writers' lives before I was introduced to Bhakti also. There's one writer who was asked, if you come to know that you're going to die in 1 minute, what will you do? He said, I'll type faster. So now you may say he's just attached to writing. Well, yeah, that's one way of looking at it. But another way of looking at it is that for him, the meaning of life comes through writing. And this is what I'm meant to do. This is what I will do in life or death. Now, of course, if that artha, that meaning that he's getting, if it is connected with Paramartha, he's writing about Krishna, that's wonderful. But the point is, there is intrinsic satisfaction also. So not everybody will get extrinsic satisfaction, because this extrinsic satisfaction depends to some extent on past karma. at least partly depends on past karma. So, but the intrinsic satisfaction. So we need to observe ourselves and look at among the various things that we do in our life, which are the things that give us intrinsic satisfaction. And they should at least be some part of our life. The way society is structured, nobody can always do the things they like to do. But at least some time we need to have to do the things that are natural for us. When Krishna says paradharmo bhayavaha in the Bhagavad Gita, if you do some other dharma that is fearful, what he means by that is, if everybody in society is motivated, is not doing something which they are naturally inclined to do, then they won't be getting any intrinsic satisfaction. And if everybody is motivated only by extrinsic satisfaction, then they won't be able to do that work competently. Now say doctors, consider for example. Now everybody needs money, and doctors have worked so many years, paid so many fees, so naturally they want to earn handsomely from their medical work. But imagine if a doctor gets no joy in healing patients. If there's no intrinsic satisfaction, then that doctor will be a doctor we should be afraid of. Isn't it? Isn't it? Because they may complicate the patient's disease, they may prolong, take more and more tests, and the patient will just become a money-making tool for them. And that can happen in every profession. So, at least some level, we should be doing some activity which gives us intrinsic satisfaction. And similarly, the same principle applies to the service of the Lord. Through service, we at an external level, we make contribution. So contribution means that we are able to do some tangible service. So if you go out for book distribution, we're able to distribute books. If we give some talks, then people come for the talks, people appreciate the talks, whatever it is. But there is an internal effect, okay, extrinsic and intrinsic. The intrinsic is the connection. Through our service, we develop our connection with the Lord. And the contribution is uncertain. It may manifest, it may not manifest. Prabhupada for 40 years, he was serving Krishna diligently. And there's no contribution to manifest basically. He had written the Bhagavatam, that was one tangible thing. But he did not have any dedicated followers, he did not have any temple, practically nothing to show. But see, normally if somebody works very hard and they get no success, then they tend to become bitter. They start blaming the world. But when Prabhupada came to America and those who later became his early disciples, they met him. He was just an unknown old man walking on the streets of New York. But those who met him, they found that he was just so cheerful. He's just so happy talking about Krishna. So, and if nobody was there to talk about Krishna, Prabhupada would be writing his books. He was talking about Krishna to people in the future who would read his books. At that time, he didn't even know whether his books would be published and they would be read. But so the point is that Prabhupada was satisfied with the connection with the Lord. Of course, he wanted to make a contribution. And that's why he kept trying different things. But as devotees also, we need to know that our service is primarily for connecting us with Krishna. Of course, when we are doing the service, we should do it in such a way that others can also become connected with Krishna. We are making a contribution. But we need to be, when Prabhupada comes to America, he says, Boro Krupa Koile Krishna Adhamera Prati. You are very merciful to me, Krishna. Now what is the mercy? He is alone, he's come to a foreign land. The only physically valuable asset that he had was his body. And that was subjected to motion sickness, that was subjected to 2 heart attacks. He has practically nothing material. But Prabhupada is grateful because he has the opportunity. He has no facility, but he at least has the opportunity. So I'm going to opportunity to carry out his spiritual master's instruction. And for that, he is grateful just to have the opportunity. So service is, so for him, Prabhupada, that his service was connecting him with his Guru and connecting with Krishna. And that intrinsic satisfaction was itself what he was grateful for. He of course wanted to get the external also. But Prabhupada was not discontented or bitter because of that. So as devotees, we need to be able to find intrinsic satisfaction both in the work that we do, from a material perspective according to our nature, and from a devotional perspective when we are doing service, the primary purpose is that we connect ourselves with the Lord. Okay? So thank you very much. Shri Ramachandra Bhagwan ki
Jai.
Shri Hanuman ji ki
Jai.
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaur Bhakta Vrind ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanand.
Hari Hari Go.
So I have written a small book on the Ramayana. It contains pastimes that I described today, analyzed, as well as several other pastimes, along with some life lessons drawn from those. And this is a calendar with 365 quotes inspired by the Bhagavad Gita. Each quote is based on one verse from the Bhagavad Gita. Hold your plans lightly, hold your Lord tightly. Those who God can work on us even through the things that don't work for us. Focus on God's ability, not on our liability. Those who can't face books, seek shelter in Facebook. So each of these quotes is inspired by one verse from the Bhagavad Gita. If any of you would like to have this, I'll be here for some time, and I'll be there for signing the books also. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Books and all outside in the table, so that we can go and then collect it from there, and then Prabhuji can sign it. Hare Krishna.
His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Let's give Prabhu one more big Hari Bol. Thank you. Hari Bol. So I would just like to thank His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu again for coming to Dallas. There's